Hello, and welcome to Composer Toolbox, the show that looks at the common techniques utilized by the master film composers and how you can practically apply them. In this episode, I wanted to take a look at some of the really cool subtext found within the music of The Shawshank Redemption by Thomas Newman. Specifically, I want to look at the escape scene, the big climax of the film. As our main character, Andy Dufresne, is escaping from the Shawshank prison, we hear this four-note line play. Now, this four-note motif is important because it's not the first time we hear it. The motif is heard several times throughout the film before this, the first time being here.
So when Andy Dufresne came to me in 1949 and asked me to smuggle Rita Hayworth into the prison.
On the soundtrack, this cue is labeled as the Stoic theme. Stoic literally means a person who can endure pain or hardship without showing their feelings or complaining. Now, if you've seen this movie, you'll know that this perfectly describes the main character, Andy Dufresne, to a T. But even if we didn't know this, Newman plays this theme in this scene as well. The cue is called Sisters. Throughout the movie, and in this scene especially, Andy goes through this routine of being assaulted. But he never complains or even tells anybody. The character Red says this in his narration.
He never said who did it, but we all knew.
So, we know that this motif is associated specifically with Andy and his personality, but I think it's also associated with a key part of the story subtext as well. In the opening prison scene, when we hear this motif being played, it is played before Andy walks into the prison. It plays while he is still sitting on the prison bus. This could mean several things. It might be telling of the hardships that Andy has already endured with his false conviction at the trial earlier. It might be foreshadowing his hardships to come, or what I think is most likely, it represents Andy's already established mindset that he's going to endure, that he doesn't belong at Shawshank, and that he's not going to let anyone keep him there. But yet, the way the motif is played, it does sound foreboding and ominous, yet hollow and empty. That could be just general underscore for the prison itself, or it could be acting as a direct contrast with how the motif is played at the end of the film. Going back to the escape scene, when we hear the Stoic motif, it's yet again played in the low strings, but it's supported with heavy low string pads. And finally, when Andy dumps out into the river, an altered version of the motif plays in the violins, above the powerful fifth and suspended chords. Although this contrast between the two versions of the motif is important, there's, again, a very powerful subtextual reason for the contrast as well. In a very well done video essay by Logos Made Flesh, the argument is made that the entire story is really an allegory for the story of Jesus Christ. From the empty tomb to new birth, a lot of it fits. But if this is the true subtextual meaning of the film, then this scene here isn't Andy's redemption, it's a parallel to the resurrection, which would mean that this is actually Red's redemption. Earlier in the film, Red says,
Only guilty man in Shawshank.
Admitting he's a sinner, which is the first step towards redemption. Later, when Andy tries to tell Red about hope, Red initially rejects this idea.
Let me tell you something, my friend. Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane.
But because of this scene here, because of Andy's escape, we see that Red is now able to have hope, is able to be redeemed. Andy's escape is proof that a better life can exist outside the walls of Shawshank. With this in mind, I think this is what makes the scene so powerful, and why Newman chose to score it the way he did, with this sense of extreme power. An amateur composer might have scored the whole scene as very triumphant, but you'll notice that most of it is actually far from that. Parts of it are actually pretty dissonant. But this is probably to build suspense and a feeling of power up until this crucial moment, when Andy looks heavenward. Here, after many minutes of building, Newman finally gives us the payoff when he transitions the music to the triumphant feeling that we've all been waiting for. It's truly in line with the common phrase heard in both film scoring and the filmmaking art in general. Wait for it. Waiting until the last possible moment to build tension makes the final payoff all the more glorious. Honestly, I could talk about this film all day. There are just so many layers to both the story and the music that you'd be hard-pressed to find that in just any old movie. And there are so many genius moments in the score, like here, when Newman plays the exact same music from the Brooks Was Here scene in this scene, which has a ton of subtext on its own. But like I said, I could go on and on about this movie, so I'll wrap it up here. If you like what I do and you want to support me in exchange for some groovy benefits, then please consider supporting me on Patreon. Every little bit goes a long way. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.